Oshana, thanks for having me today.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
So today we're here with Oshana, one of the members of our local fish club, North Jersey Aquarium Society, and Apisto man. So he's going to take us through his insane fish room. He's got plenty of tanks here. I didn't count, probably should have. But he's got one of the coolest water change systems and just one of the cleanest looks I've ever seen. So that's really why I wanted to bring you guys over here and also learn something about Apistos. So thank you for having us. Let's start off right over here with just kind of how you're doing your hair.
All right, sounds good. So I got these two linear piston air pumps. They're actually hooked into this 3/4 inch PVC that goes actually all around the fish room over here. Right now only one is actually turned on. The other one is kind of closed and not even plugged in. So as I need more air, as I do the other side of the fish room, probably I will then turn this on when needed. But for now, one pump is more than sufficient to run all the aquariums that I have going on at the moment. I do heat the room. I got this heat storm heater. It's kind of a cool heater because even though it's heating the room, at the same time I can really put my hand on it and it's not going to hurt me in any way. And of course below that is the dehumidifier. I do find though that the dehumidifier produces so much heat that to be honest, this doesn't kick on at all when this is running. Right now this is just turned off because it makes more noise than anything else, so for that reason I turned it off. But yeah, when that is running, it heats the room on its own. This never kicks on. In fact, this heats it way better than this.
Energy efficiency.
Yeah. And the intent is to actually plumb this into the sump that I have over there. You can see that I have the plumbing for it, but in order for me to do that, I do need to build a stand to raise this up a bit because right now the line that's coming in that's supposed to get plumbed into it is a little bit too high for the outlet. So when I get the time, I'll build a stand, raise that up, and then it can be actually plumbed directly so I never have to constantly enter the container myself. And outside of that, I do have a Google Home speaker. One, I love to listen to music while I'm working in the fish room. But at the same time, I do have my lights on timers, for instance, and those can be controlled from Google Home.
You just turn them off by saying something.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, they are set to specific timers, meaning that I don't ever have to actually do it. But there may be times where I'm working in the fish room a little late, lights go off, and I do want to turn them on. I can just turn them on by saying the words. Don't want to trigger it off right now. And lastly, this is the youre controller. That actually is the controller for the leak sensors that I have around. That is going to help actually one, get the signal from the leak sensor, and it actually is used to send me a text message whenever it detects a leak. It also controls the automatic valve that I have connected to it as well, where if any leak happens, which I can show you later on as an example by putting some water on one of the sensors, it will actually shut off the water coming into the auto water change. This way, if there is a water event, it's not going to actually flood my aquarium or my fish room while I'm not around.
That's a genius addition that you don't see in a lot of other rooms. So we're definitely going to want to figure out how that works.
Yeah.
But anyways, get us started on rack number 2 first off.
All right. So yeah, I actually number the racks going from this side all the way around. But of course, I only have racks 1, 2, and 6 right now. 3, 4, and 5 will be on the way. This rack is a 10-gallon rack, so it's a bunch of 10 gallons, 12 to be exact, 4 per row. I built this out of construction lumber, of course. I kind of like the nice look, so I actually invested in a planer and a table saw, all the different tools that I need. So this way I actually plane down the construction lumber so it will actually have this nice clean look to it. It's not that rounded edges or rough edges that you would normally see. Then made dados to actually hold the racks in place. Those help with the structural integrity of the rack as well. But as you might notice here, the horizontal beams that go across are actually bigger than a 2x4. They're actually 2x6s that I got and cut them down to 4 inches in length. Now the reason why I did that is because, well, typically if you're doing like a 4-foot tank, like a 55 or a 75, in the end, the majority of the weight is distributed and actually rests on the ends of the aquarium. But in this particular case, because these are individual 10 gallons, each aquarium actually pushes the force on the rack wherever that aquarium end meets. Typically what happens, I feel, and I've seen this in other examples as well, when you do or use a 2x4, and keep in mind, having planed them, then I lose about a 1/4 inch as well. So going from a 3.5, it will probably be a 3 1/4. Using those, having aquariums like this, you may start to notice over time the horizontal will actually begin to sag. By putting it as a much thicker piece here, I would never have to worry about that. And to be honest, because this is less than 4 feet, because it's just 4 10 gallons, I technically speaking didn't have to do this here, but the plan is to have another 10-gallon rack that is going to have 5 in a row. I just wanted to match perfectly, so this way, even though that is the one that really requires it to have the 4-inch thickness here, I want to have the two be exactly the same in height and dimensions and all that.
Aesthetics are important in this hobby. Some people are happy with the cinder blocks and
Right.
let's get every mismatched tank. Other people just, they want it to be clean cut, and you seem like a pretty clean cut guy. What can I say?
So, I love Apistos. Apistos are the variety or species of fish that I love to keep and breed. So my goal is to have essentially a massive collection of different types of Apistos. Hence why pretty much all the aquariums that you're seeing here have Apistos in them. And hence why 10 gallons, I find 10 gallons to be a perfect size for a pair of Apistos. Many of these I actually bred them myself, or I bought them as breeders. For instance, the Cockatoides Super Reds here, I actually bred them myself.
These guys are just such beautiful fish. The patterning is insane.
Yeah, so really focusing on the color across all the finish here.
I've heard that there's been a really big problem with this species in specific of just really bad inbreeding and
Yes.
bad breeders out there.
Yes, and that is a good point you make, because before this fish room, I still had a bunch of 10 gallons. I had some more rudimentary racks that I created before I kind of got to this detail, where I would breed Apistos, and I used to breed a lot of Apistos. I had some amazing breeder pairs that I had. But then when I was building this fish room, I reached a point where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to breed or get any more fish until the fish room is done. That was like my push to get this fish room completed, because
this
I was
point.
taking a long time to do it. And during that time, I sold off most of the fish I had, including some of the breeders, because the breeders were getting a little older too.
Mhm.
So I sold them off, thinking that, you know what, I will actually purchase new breeders once everything is set up. And that is kind of what I did, except that I do find that with the breeding stock that I'm getting now, the fry don't do so well, and I'm not 100% sure why. Now, keep in mind, before I built this fish room in my basement here, I did breed a lot of fish in this house, so using the same water, so it's not
Mhm.
a water issue, at least I think. but I feel like the quality of the breeding stock or the fish that you get is not all there anymore. So slowly I'm getting better and better stock. Like if I find that I get a pair that I bought as breeders, I spawn them, they have the fry, but the fry don't seem to do so well, or they have all these birth defects in them, I would just let them be, I will not sell them, and I will not breed that pair further.
So you take the quality control kind of into your own hands?
I take that very seriously. I want to make sure that the fish that come out of this fish room are the best quality, and for that reason, if I feel like it is not up to a particular standard, and I feel that the people or whoever gets those fish afterwards are going to have problems with it, I'm not going to sell it, I'm not going to keep breeding them. So little by little, I'm getting some breeder stock that appears to actually have healthy fry. For instance, I got this pair of orange flash cockatoides, and those individuals on rack 6 over there are all the babies of them. And they're very healthy, very doing really well. So for that reason, I think that will be a keeper pair for.
Oh, these are beautiful. Catching some of these guys. So, do you do anything with wild caught fish then to try to do more lines?
Actually, this pair over here is a wild caught pair of Apistos. They're undescribed. We bought them as Apistogramma SP Amaya. I think that's the location from which they were caught, but yeah, I don't think they're described yet.
Clearly, you've had some success getting some babies out of them.
Yeah.
Is that a rock or a coconut hut?
That's a coconut hut, actually.
Is that primarily what you use to spawn these guys?
No, primarily I actually use the watering spikes that you see over here in all the other tanks.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unique. I don't think I've ever seen that anywhere.
Those work as perfect caves, and as you would see in every Apisto tank, you actually have the watering spikes there. But this particular pair proved, difficult to spawn. Maybe because they were wild caught, and because I kept trying to breed them, they wouldn't breed for me. I had no idea what I was doing wrong. So what I thought of doing is maybe making it a little bit more natural for them. So you can also see that all the other tanks are bare bottom. They don't have any substrate in them. But since they were wild caught, I thought, you know what, all right, let's put some sand in there. Let's put, instead of the weird looking caves that they're probably not used to, I put coconut huts, which are more natural looking, and they're good.
They popped a lot of babies out.
Yeah.
And the colors on this are crazy.
Yeah, and right now they don't actually have spawning colors. When they do, it's really nice to see. And actually, this is not their first spawn. I was able to spawn them before once, but those fry didn't do well either. And that is because I don't think the mother took good care of the fry. And so the fry kind of dwindled down as well.
And fizzled out?
Yeah.
Is this the mom or the dad here?
This is the dad.
Huh.
And that's where the difference is between the first spawn and the second spawn. So in the first spawn, the dad would actually stay in the back and let the mom actually take care of the fry. But then the fry didn't do so well. With the second spawn, which is this one over here, the dad does not let the mom come anywhere near the fry. And the dad took responsibility of taking care of the fry.
Huh.
And you can see they're doing really well. The mom is still in there somewhere, probably hiding, but whenever he sees her,
he chases
he will
her
chase her away. But then again, there's enough of line of sight blocks, so...
What a
nobody really
heartbreaker
gets
he
hurt.
is.
But he did a very good job raising his fry, and he's still taking care of them today. Now, because now that the fry are in there, I kind of gradually made the water harder again. It's not RO water anymore. And as a result, they're not going to successfully spawn as it is with the current water parameters in there.
What'd you
So
get
I'm
the
not
pH
worried.
down to?
About 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really cool seeing some of the different Apistogrammas. I know one I picked up recently were the Megastomas,
Yeah.
and they're the only maternal mouth brooder,
Right.
and they just got differentiated from the paternal mouth brooder.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's cool seeing the different behaviors in some of these.
Right.
Do you leave like a nightlight on in here at all?
Actually, the main light stays on all the time.
Oh, so it stays nice and bright in here.
I may dim it to about 50%, but yeah, it stays on all the time. The only time it's not is if there's no fry with parents, but right now there are fry with parents, so it stays on all the time. Speaking about softening the water, though, so while there are some Apistos like the Coccotoides that can breed in harder water, of course, North New Jersey, water you can practically stand on it because it's so hard. So for that reason, for many of the Apistos species that I breed, I have to soften the water and also make it acidic. I also find though that even for some of the species where I could breed in harder water, the spawns do a lot better if I were to soften the water. I get bigger spawns, better survival rate, and so on. So how I do that? Well, of course, to soften the water, it's RO water. You will notice that every single aquarium over here actually has this section that provides the inlet of water from the auto water change.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually plumbed tap water and RO water into the exact same inlet. So when I want to make a particular tank do water changes with just RO water, all I need to do is turn off the tap water, turn on the RO water, and now going forward that particular tank will actually do water changes using RO water and not tap water.
Huh.
Now, another thing that I need to do, so that will actually soften the water, but I do also find that I need to reduce the pH. I don't like to use chemicals to reduce the pH, so what I do is I
Amen to
actually
that.
use peat moss granules, so let me actually get some from over here.
Here, we'll come over to you.
I use these peat moss granules, Fluval has peat moss granules, and also Sarah.
Uh-huh.
They provide peat moss granules, so I used those. And I built a little media reactor out of PVC that I fill this in. Of course, sponges on either side, and an airline going all the way to the bottom. I fill this up, put this in behind the filter, and that will actually help acidify the water as well.
So you put a sponge down the bottom of this to block off the holes?
Yeah, so sponge on both caps.
Okay.
All right.
And that stops the peat moss from getting out
From
and just
getting out.
completely
Exactly.
adding dirt and muck to the tank, so you're not
Exactly.
siphoning it out.
And one of those will have a hole down the center where I will pass the airline to that will go all the way to the bottom, and then fill it with the peat moss granules, lock it in. This is perfectly sized to fit behind the corner matting filters, and it will actually slowly acidify the tank. And I put it to a very low bubbling rate, so this way it doesn't like shock the aquarium or
Yeah, it
change
doesn't
the
just tank it.
values immediately. Yeah.
Do you mess with Indian almond leaves also and just drop those in from time to time? They're kind of my go-to botanical.
I used to, but as you can see, not anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the peat moss granules actually do the job for me, so I have found that I don't need to. I was thinking of doing that on this aquarium to again give that more natural feel for the wild caught pair, but well, they spawned before I was able to do that anyway. So
Yeah, accidental success. Sometimes you just gotta love it.
yeah.
I can't get over. So what did you have in this tank? I got some B-roll of it earlier.
Yeah. So this particular one is a Panduro, Apistogramma Panduro pair.
The blue and yellow. So it reminds me of almost
Exactly.
a Bosemani. Like a Bosemani rainbow,
Yeah.
but in an Apisto. It's
Yeah.
cool. It's got the blue on the body and the yellow tail.
Right.
Come on, focus.
And I'm guessing the Panduro comes from the female because they have like the panda type pattern.
Ah. Yeah, and if they can throw a panda on it, they do, because it just
Right.
sells like crazy. With the Corys, I've seen panda angels.
Right.
But wow, they're spectacular. And I can't help but catch a glimpse of this guy. This is the orange flash.
This is the orange flash.
Oh, he came out now. What's the story behind these guys? Where'd you pick them up from?
So, believe it or not, I actually picked them up from Aquahuna.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, a nice wholesale. So you got them cheap and they're beautiful.
Yeah, and the shipping, it was like $12 for.
Yeah, I was looking into them.
Yeah.
I've been wary.
Yeah.
So it's worth giving them a shot.
It is. The only problem, because looking at all the reviews, you're not sure if you're going to get a pair or not.
Uh-huh.
I just bought two because I was getting a few other things from them. I got some Siamese algae eaters.
Okay.
So I thought, might as well, because I wanted a pair. I was looking for orange flash. Couldn't find. Theirs looked good, like the ones on the photos, so might as well just include them as well. I got this pair. They were great, and they were actually a pair, and they're very prolific.
They're just wow. That's all I can say about them. And it's cool. The Aquahuna, I've been
Yeah.
tempted to try them. Aquahuna, sponsor us. We want to get more fish. I need to feed my addiction. And then to the right, I see another beauty right here with some plecos in there. I love my plecos, but Apistos,
Yeah.
they're growing on me a lot, especially after my last two pairs. And after seeing this room, I might have to give you a shout and say, hey, when you got some extra Apistos,
Yeah.
I got to come give you some of my money.
So the plecos actually. So I have a bunch of like small or young super red bristlenose plecos. I kind of use them as cleaners that I move from one tank to another as they need it.
Okay.
So, for instance, the pleco that's in here is probably going to end up in this tank very shortly. And you can see this tank used to be just like this, but now look at it with just a 1.5-inch bristlenose pleco.
How long ago did you add that pleco to this tank? Because this is night and day.
Yeah, probably like 3 weeks ago.
That's not too shabby to clean
Yeah.
it up, not have to get your hands in there all dirty.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found the younger ones are better at that.
Younger
too.
ones are better. I used to, and so the plecos I bred as well.
Uh-huh.
I had this breeder pair, but they just bred so much I couldn't deal with it. Outside of separating them, I couldn't stop them from breeding, so I sold the pair in one of the NJAS auctions, the last one.
Oh, that was your super red pair, the long fins?
Not the long fins,
Oh.
they're just regular.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about the fall auction.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember exactly what pair. I was really tempted to pick them up, but I'm like, I'm already breeding some, trying to get the long fins.
Right.
Another time when I have more space.
Yeah. So I mean, out of the juveniles that I have, I'm sure I'm gonna get a pair at some point. So if I ever want to breed them again, I'll
You can.
get a pair at some point anyway.
So, what species of Apisto is this one? Because this
This
is bright orange.
This is Agassiz Fire Red.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did lose the female in that one, which is why the male is there by himself. But I do have a spare female in that tank over there that will end up going with that male. So it's the girl over here.
Oh, when she grows up and is big enough so he's not
So-
harassing her just yet?
No, she is adult size. That is there.
That's... wow.
Yeah. So she will go in there soon.
That's a big boy. Alrighty. Let's move over here to this next pair.
Yeah.
Pair,
So
I
that's
guess?
an Agassiz Fire Red as well. It's the same species as the one that you just saw.
Really?
Yeah, but of course the color on this one is much better,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know, the purple on this one's pretty cool, too.
But this one has more purple. So it's
You gotta get your own line.
yeah. So it's from two different sources.
Okay.
In fact, the female over here is from the same source as this, so probably brother sister.
Okay.
But this male is from a different source altogether.
Okay.
So this way, by pairing them, I'm also going to diversify the genetics on them.
And you can then cross and see what you're gonna get
I mean,
from there to just keep the blood strong.
Right, exactly. Now I'm hoping to get individuals that look like that male. Of
Yeah.
course. So my main thing, the species that I bred a lot of were the Agassiz FRS. That's how I kind of started with the Apisto
Okay.
breeding hobby, and I had, I would say, the best Agassiz FRS you can get. But back when I decided that I was going to stop breeding and get a new set of breeders, I didn't think ahead of time that I wouldn't be able to, or would find it hard to actually get a good pair of breeders. So I kind of feel like I missed out. I should have actually kept that line going, even though I got rid of everything else. Because for that, I would get from some of the breeders, like I would get 150 at least in the spawn, and out of which maybe I call like 2 or 3, because everyone else is actually healthy and strong.
And just beautiful. That's a crazy cull rate, less than 1%.
Yeah.
That's I wish.
Yeah. And so I do like all the tanks being kind of dirty as they are.
Okay.
Simply because when they breed, there's enough of things for the fry to pick on.
Catch the microfauna.
Yeah, so I don't really have to worry about losing fry. I feel like the fry actually do better when the tanks are more like this than when the tanks are like this.
I think Corey from Aquarium Co-op just put out a recent video talking about seasoned tanks.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm kind of the same way. You get accidental breeding sometimes. I just found some babies that have been kicking. Haven't been fishing there for like 2 weeks. I'm like, you bred? Right. And they're alive at a good size? So now they're on baby brine shrimp, and I didn't notice they were there until they were already that size. When you were talking about lines, I did want to ask you if with Apistos, the male gets all the color and the flare.
Right.
But are they something where the genetics pass on stronger from either the mother or father? I know shrimp, the females, if they have a deeper color, they're going to have a greater effect on that, like shrimp's line of genetics than the father would. You want to pick a beautiful of both, but if you can get a subpar male and a great female, it's better than a great male and a subpar female.
So, I don't know the true science behind it, but I do know in general, people that breed Apistos look for the best male. They're not particularly concerned about the female.
Okay.
That said, I don't think it hurts. So whenever I spawn, I will always actually grow out my fish. So that's actually another thing. For the Apistos that I do spawn, I never sell them as juveniles. I actually grow them out till like young adults.
Okay.
This way I have the ability to make the first pick of which individuals I want to keep for future breeders potentially. And this way, if there is some like extraordinary individual in there, that will definitely be something I hold back for the future, and then I look for that in both males and females.
Okay. How long does it take to kind of get them to that juvenile size?
It depends. Actually, it really depends on the species. Cockatoides grow quickly. I feel like 4 to 5 months is around how much time it takes to be sexable adults.
Okay.
But then again, this particular pair over here, the wild caught, they are older than the cockatoide orange flash juveniles over there.
These juveniles
are older than them.
Are older than these guys.
Exactly. And yet they're so slow growing. But they're definitely growing though.
Huh.
And keep in mind, they get daily water changes.
Yeah,
so
all the tanks.
It's not a water quality issue.
All right, and then I guess to finish off this rack, we've just got down here. We've got, what are these? What are these guys? They're kind of yellow.
The McMastereye golds.
Okay.
So that's a pair of them.
Absolutely beautiful. And is there anything in this tank? I don't see anyone swimming around.
Not right now. So that's something I need to fill up. This one over here has McMastereye Extreme Red. I forget the full name. I've written it down somewhere.
Okay.
But it's supposed to be like an extreme red variant of McMastereye.
I don't want to come out.
Yeah, they're still very young.
Oh, okay, there's one back there. Coming to say hello. And I'm right over here, a fish I'm all too familiar with. I love my pseudomugals.
Yeah.
I'm breeding the signifers right now. These are Luminatus.
Yeah, I always liked the Luminatus and wanted to breed them, but I never actually got around to it, so they're just there right now.
Do you have any spawning mops with you?
I have the yarn, so I can make my own at any point.
You can have them in 2 days. What I do, I can't stop them. You throw in a spawning mop, floating. I've seen to get the best results, but they love floating or sinking. Throw it in, pull the eggs out a day later, and they go crazy. It's ridiculous. If they're fed well, guarantee they'll spawn in the morning.
Right.
You'll pull at least 5 eggs. My most was 70 in 1 day.
Okay.
And that's like a daily occurrence.
Right.
So as long as they're not too feisty, I'm lucky. Mine haven't been eating too much, but if you really want some babies to just throw in that tank to start growing out.
Actually, that's right.
I throw the mop in there, tank, and you could just move the mop in after a day or two.
That's true.
Yeah, and they take like 2 weeks to start hatching.
Okay.
So if you made 3 or so mops, like 14 days. But mop, I usually just pick out the eggs and throw them in an empty tank that's kind of well seasoned.
Right.
And just kind of forget about them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, there's fish in here now. Then I start trying to feed some extra infusoria.
Right. And actually, previously I did make a mop, and what I did was, once I put it in, I made like a loop, and I hung it on the...
That's brilliant. Inside of the cork.
Yeah.
I have a million corks. I could have brought you one. If I knew you had this, I have some mops sitting aside that I haven't even used yet. Could have thrown your way.
Yeah, and these lids are custom. They're not my idea.
I do the same ones,
videos on YouTube.
I stole them from Daku, who stole them from something Cichlid, one of the OG fish tubers. But I love these things, and they're so slidey.
Yeah. But I 3D printed these handles to silicone on, and so they're
prettier than mine. I use the whatever they're called, the sticky hooks that you put on your wall.
Right,
And I was like, boom, there we go. Open and close, we're good. I'll make them pretty when I'm doing.
And actually, what I did was, you see this kind of a lip on the handle?
Mm-hmm.
That actually ensures that when I close them, it catches on
the tank, so you're not pulling them off.
Exactly, because without that, I find that it's just the right height, where sometimes if I pull it too hard, it will slide out. So by doing this, it actually catches, and I would never actually accidentally pull it too far out.
I have beef with Petco's new in-house brand because the 5 gallons, they don't have as deep a lip.
Oh,
so
really?
even the underside hangs above on this style. And I'm like, yeah, I can deal with that for now, but I'll figure out a different solution.
Right.
Anyways, let's pop over here. This is a bit of a sump system. We'll probably talk about more in the water change video, but just an overview.
Right, so while rack 6 actually is plumbed directly into the sewer, simply because of the height of the lower aquarium and its position towards the plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
All the other tanks over here, this 40 breeder rack and the 10-gallon rack over here, plus whatever is going to come in the future, by running it through the plumbing all the way through here, because I don't have an in-floor sump, the plumbing is too high. So either I have to eliminate the bottom row of tanks, or use a sump that I actually drain into, and then a sump pump to push it out into the sewer.
Kind of reminds me of Dean's Fishroom with the bucket.
Right,
just has,
exactly.
Except that bucket would stress me out, so I'd put a much bigger bucket.
Exactly. So this is instead just a 20-gallon long that I use for it. Originally, I was thinking of putting a 10, but the thickness of glass for the 10 gallons is so thin that I was wondering if the vibration from the pump will actually, over time, affect its integrity. So for that reason, I chose the 20 long instead. I did put that, it's a leak sensor that is actually on a bit of a tray that I silicone on the aquarium here. And the idea for that particular one is, what if the sump pump were to fail? Now, most likely it's not going to fail. These are built to last a long time. But just in case it does, what then is going to happen is, as water is draining into that, it's going to fill and go above the leak sensor, right? So not only will that leak sensor send me a notification, a text message, letting me know that there's some problem with the sump in this particular case, but as you may see later or in one of your future videos, that actually hooks up wirelessly to an automatic valve as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if it were to overflow, the system will automatically shut off water to the auto water change system, and therefore it will eliminate or prevent a water event from happening in the fish room. And I have those sensors behind every rack as well.
That's an awesome addition. It definitely gives you that peace of mind,
Right.
especially if you head out. I think that's a great transition just into this empty tank here. You're able to show us kind of how you set up your drainage.
Yeah. So every aquarium is drilled in the 40 breeders. We have 2 holes on either side. I also sand the hole down, so this way, as you can see, I'm running my finger through it and I'm not afraid of cutting myself. This will be a bulkhead that I attach to here with the spout going through the plumbing that you're seeing down here.
Mm-hmm.
Every aquarium has plumbing behind that is perfectly positioned right below each of the different drainage areas or drainage outlets. And what I found was a 3/4 inch tube fits perfectly into 1 inch PVC, at least the 3/4 inch that I'm buying. So for that reason, essentially, once I have this put together, it's just a 3/4 inch piece of tubing that will fit right into that hole, and it will drain into the plumbing there. But if ever I need to take an aquarium out of the system, all I need to do is just lift the tank and it will just lift off the system. But because I have this height also on the drainage plumbing, I don't ever have to worry about water actually overflowing from a particular outlet if I were to remove a tank from the system. You can probably see that better coming over here, where you have one of the 20 longs.
Oh yeah, I
in.
see that.
So it's just fitted right into that PVC, but I can always just lift the tank up and it will come off the system.
Also make sure any earthquakes or anything crazy, you don't have tanks cracking with that. We had a pretty hectic one, last fall?
Right.
Awesome. So we're coming over here to...
and one thing I would want to add here, which I think is a cool thing. This is the drill bit that I use.
Oh, that's actually really nice.
I get this from Home Depot.
Okay.
You get the Amazon drill bits, you get the ones that you can buy from Gemco, and then you get these. These are cheaper than the Amazon and the Gemco.
Okay.
It works much better than the Gemco one.
Let's get a good shot of these.
You can see even the quality of it is much better.
12x longer life.
Right. In fact, let me think here. So these all have one, so it's 12, 18. Each one of those has 2, so that's another 12. So 20, 24, 30. Plus I have a few other things drilled. So probably drilled about 35 or 36 holes out of one of these. I got 2 because I thought that I will need.
Mm-hmm.
But I only opened the one. With that one, I've drilled 36 holes so far. These 2 being the last holes that I've drilled. And you can see how nice those holes are.
They're crisp. Did you crack any tanks?
I cracked 1 10-gallon in the beginning because...
Light glass first time?
Not really first time, but... So looking at... Actually, that's a good point as well. Looking at other videos, how people do it, they just position some kind of a piece of plywood, say, with a pre-drilled hole so that they can get the right position for it, right? And then they will drill. But there's nothing backing the glass from the inside.
Okay.
And something that you learn, especially when you're doing with woodworking, is a concept of blowout. Where if you're drilling through a piece of wood, say, if there's nothing supporting the wood from the side where the drill bit comes out of, what's going to happen is all the fibers of the wood that are over there, as you get closer and closer to drilling through, will actually fray and essentially blow outwards.
That's kind of the kickback.
Exactly. And I thought it's probably the same thing that's happening with the glass too, because that's why you're actually getting chip out. No matter how perfectly you try to drill vertically into the glass, be it the glass itself might have some imperfections in the thickness of the glass itself, or again, it's not like you can perfectly drill vertically down. Your hand might move a little bit as well. So for that reason, as you're actually getting closer to drilling through, whatever bits of glass that are still holding that piece together may give out. It will just push through, and that's where you get the chipping. You may get the cracked tank as a result. So what I did instead was, not only do I put the piece that I use as a guide to drill it from the front, I actually put a piece of plywood in the back with with this here. So this is just non-skid pads that you can use for furniture, but a roll of this. So I cut a piece of this, stick it on some plywood, put this in the back of the aquarium and clamp them together, and then I drill. What that does is it prevents the drill bit from falling through on the other side, and it also supports the glass from the back as you're drilling through. As a result, I've never cracked a tank since.
That's just money alone.
Including the 10 gallons. And even for the 10 gallons, I get holes like this where it is perfect without any chip out. So I can show you actually an example. Actually, that's one of the ones that I learned from. So you can see that this particular one has a lot of chip out here.
Okay.
Right? But it's after that I started doing it. That's why that tank is.
And so you take the piece of plywood, and it would just be flush against this, and you drill right into it, into the plywood, into the furniture mat.
Right.
thing?
So actually, the plywood will be on the inside.
Okay.
The guide will be on the outside, and I drill from here.
Inwards.
The one inside will actually hold that piece of glass without making it fall through.
Okay. Notes taken.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, and actually, if you go to, do you know of customaquariums.com?
I haven't gone through them much because I can't get any more tanks. I'll be killed.
So they have a drill kit that they provide if you're buying tanks from them.
Okay.
And they themselves provide, or they talk about putting the backing so to support the drill as it drills through. But if you look at videos like Aquarium Co-op and all of that, nobody actually seems to do that. But I think that's a mistake. Maybe as a result, you're going to reduce the number of tanks that you can drill with that drill bit by a couple of tanks or so. But
better than buying a 40-gallon tank again.
You're guaranteed never to crack, and you get such clean drills.
Yeah, they are so nice. Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a great sidebar. Thank you for that. I came here, didn't even expect to learn about drilling tanks, and that's something I know I'll be messing with in the relatively near future.
And for that reason, you will also see in videos, go really slowly and stuff like that. I really don't. I don't go crazy, but
hammer and chisel.
I'm not as careful anymore because I have that backing to support the drill without having it push right through.
That's genius. My brain hurts. And that's something I've messed with woodworking for plenty of time. Here's my scrap wood that goes under. Never even thought about that working for glass.
Works for glass too.
That's awesome. On that note, let's hop back into the fish. We do have some more really cool fish to get through. Let's take this tank right here in the corner of System 1.
So these are Lamprologus burchardi. It was a bucket list fish of mine that I really wanted to keep for a long time. Never did, but then I finally got my hands on a group, so I couldn't say no to that. And actually, they have spawn. There's 2 spawns in here, but they're a little shy because it's actually in the back of one of these rocks. If you look from like that corner-ish, you might see them. And actually, over here you see a few as well. If you look on the bottom, on the surface of the glass. Let's see. come a bit further, they're like behind the rock. Actually, those things over there are probably... No, that's probably poop, actually. but they are there. I don't know if you can
If
see.
we catch some, I'll have to throw some
Actually,
some
we could
B-roll. We
try
can always
some.
try.
When I put baby brine shrimp in there, they will actually start. Oh, you see, they swam. It's.
Oh, I think I see one right on the
Yeah.
grate. Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Those
that's
little
one.
guys?
That's one.
There we go.
So they just hatched. Like,
super
yesterday
zoom
or
in, nice
something.
and blurry. Great. Okay, let's see. Come on. Oh, they're tiny. I see them now, though. I'll have to circle them for you guys. These little blurry gray bits on the mat.
Yeah.
But they're so cute.
And actually, this is their quarantine tank, and they just spawn in the
You haven't even
they're gonna
tried.
stay there for a little while. Yeah. But
That's awesome.
I actually had a pleco in here that I didn't think too much of because it was a decent sized pleco.
Mm-hmm.
That pleco was bigger than the biggest brushard that you see here. But then, of course, as you can see, the tank is not really that clean anymore. And I used to notice the pleco quite often. But yesterday, I realized that I have all these fleshy bits around here.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, what is that? Did they kill one of themselves? And then I realized, no, they actually killed the pleco. So I think the moment the fry hatched, they actually ganged up on the pleco and killed it, unfortunately. If I had realized it, because the pleco was sizable, that I thought that
Yeah, no one's gonna mess with you.
Be able to hurt it, but no, they are vicious.
Sheesh. And I know they're a shell dweller, right?
Not really.
Kind
They're
of
more a
similar.
substrate spawner. I
Okay.
believe, right?
Because I know the Neolamproligus. Oh, what's the one Paul has?
Multifasciatus
Yeah,
and
but they'll
Similis, those
all
are
yeah, the Similis. They'll
Yeah.
protect their kind of
right.
group,
Yeah.
even if they didn't have that baby.
And these are like that too. So they
It's a
will
community.
breed as well, and so they will raise all of their fry together.
That's really cool. So no wonder these two haven't been picked off.
Exactly. So you don't have to really worry about them with the fry. They just grow. And I find that is the case for a lot of Tanganyikan cichlids. They will protect their own fry, but they are very aggressive towards any other species. So most of the time, probably the best thing is to keep them in species-only tanks, I think, because if not, I mean, you're going to end up with the pleco like that.
Yeah. I see you put the mats on the bottom too to just kind of keep your rocks
Exactly.
from putting too much pressure on the glass.
Yeah, and that is knitting mesh,
Okay.
plastic knitting mesh. So
Yeah.
Is that.
That's my go-to for spawning traps too. When I'm making like egg traps.
So this is my breeder pair of Discus. I spawned them already. I really wanted to have the experience spawning Discus.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of my bucket list things in order to breed.
It's up there on mine too. I felt that.
And it was a nice experience seeing the fry eat off the parents. The parents taking care of the fry was so nice. It's a lot of work though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not a lot of work so long as the fry are still with the parents. But the moment you have to separate them out, then to feed them multiple times a day. Luckily, from a water change perspective, that's all covered.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about that. But still have to feed multiple times a day, and so which is why I haven't really spawned them since. This tank gets daily water changes as well. They do have something little going on with their fins, so I'm treating them right now. Not sure how that happened. There is a pleco in here, so I don't know if the pleco kind of goes after them a bit. But other than that, they're healthy and doing really well.
Absolutely stunning fish too.
Yeah. I got these guys from Discus Madness, actually.
Yeah, you'd hope with the Discus in their name.
Yeah.
Going into that store is crazy. I'm supposed to do a tour through with them at some point, so fingers crossed we get to do that at some point soon because
Right.
oh my god, the colors, it's all the colors of the rainbow and more.
Yeah.
And then right below them, we just have a grow out.
This is just a grow out of Apistogramma cockatoides super reds here. As you can see, pretty much all are female. So
Yeah.
I had a massive spawn of about 100. I got like 10 males, and the rest are females. So this is what's left over from there. So I'm hoping to get another spawn, maybe then get more males, which is why actually the pair of Apistogramma cockatoides super reds are in the topmost rack.
For heat.
For heat, the hottest aquarium. Hopefully that will trigger more males.
Are they a temperature dependent species too?
I think so. That's what a lot of people say. But you know what? I've actually had experiences where I put them in warmer tanks and got more females, and I put them in cooler tanks and got more males. So
Yeah.
maybe what I feel is temperature is definitely a factor, but maybe temperature is not the only factor. Other things such as water hardness, pH may also play a role in determining that as well. And
Lots
so
of
long as
variables.
everything else is consistent, then maybe temperature is the key thing. But if you are changing parameters a bit, then maybe not. That said, I don't really change any parameters on the cockatoides, so who knows?
And last tank on this side is some plants.
Yeah, so this was supposed to be a plant nursery type thing where I would just grow out a bunch of different plants that I like in pots. It has a CO2 injection as well into it, but as you can see, the plant's kind of went crazy, and I haven't had time to trim it back. So at this point, it's just whatever.
Plants did plant things.
Eventually, I'm going to trim it all out and then clean it up, but when I have the time.
And I see we have a really nice baby brine shrimp system as well as a camera.
Yeah.
Howdy.
It's not on right now, but if ever I'm traveling, then I would actually
To
turn
just
on the camera. Yeah.
Take a look at everything.
Yeah, but so in general, hanging these are not my idea. So these are the Zis brine shrimp hatcheries.
I love them.
I got them from Aquarium Club.
Yep, I did the same thing. Get 2 going.
Exactly, and I saw Dean from Dean's Fishroom.
Mm-hmm.
He built something like this where he actually hangs the hatcheries right above his sink. The thing that I did slightly differently though was I wanted there to be lights kind of installed as part of the system. So I got these gooseneck desk lamps. This particular one had a nut that actually screwed it to a clip.
Okay.
But I broke off the clip and 3D printed a backer to which I screwed the light onto and then attached it directly into this. So the 2 lights are actually part of this, the controller for the lights, and this is big enough to hold 3 of these, even though I have 2 at this point. Pretty much, I set it up at night in order to harvest 36 hours later. So I don't do 24 like some people do. I actually prefer 36. I think that's the best hatch rate / egg separation.
I do the same thing. I just do 3 harvests from them a day.
Okay.
So I'll set one up and I'll pull morning, night, and then the next morning, and I'll
Yeah.
reset that one. Then I'll do
Okay.
night, morning, night, and
Yeah.
reset that one.
I
I don't have enough baby brine to go through. I'm sure I'll need a
Right.
3rd one when I really
Right.
need to get going.
I mean, I just typically I just harvest once for the day and I just pour them in, and they last like about 8 hours in fresh water anyway. So
Yeah.
throughout the period, the fish have the ability
chow
to
down.
actually eat them, and even once they just die, then whatever's at the bottom eat the plecos or something.
Yeah.
One key thing over here, though. So I got this. This is what is it called?
Just PVC?
No, the
The mesh net? I don't
not
know.
a siphon. Is it siphon? No, not siphon. A sieve, right?
Oh, okay.
From Brine Shrimp Direct. That's actually where I get all my brine shrimp eggs
Okay.
as well. And whenever I want to harvest, well, for one, I can actually just put the light exactly where I need it to go.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it one-handed is a little challenging, though. Turn off the air, and then once it settles, I will hold this, right? But I didn't want to have to hold this all the time. After all, it's right below the sink, right?
Yeah.
These brine shrimp hatcheries come with these stands.
Yep. So they get to be in free fall. Just flying down a roller coaster before the
I just figured
end.
that out by accident. I was like, oh, maybe I need to 3D print something to hold this. And then, like, one of these stands were, like, in there. And then as I was trying to move this down to the bottom, I was like, oh, I'll just put it through it. And it just stuck. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that? And so now, when I harvest, I just let it drain right into the sink. I don't have to actually hold it.
Yeah, I need to get a net or something. I'm lazy about it. I just put it in a cup and I put the brine shrimp water in with everything.
Yeah. so that kind of worked out. And so then it drains into the sink. Now the one thing
That's
though,
awesome.
I would say, which I wish I had realized it sooner, is of course when I built the fish room, this was brand new, but now you have this corrosion marks all over it, right?
Yeah, with all the salt.
Exactly. It's this is stainless steel. It's not supposed to have any kind of corrosion marks like that, at least not this quickly, but it started showing up, and I realized this is not just fresh water, this is salt water. So whenever I do this, I should do a quick rinse before
moving on.
Moving on, yeah. So now I do it, but yeah, those are like there now.
We live and we learn.
Yeah. So just if anybody else is doing something like this and they have it over a stainless steel sink, remember to just do a quick rinse once you are done, and that is good enough.
Yeah, learn from our mistakes.
Of course, paper towel.
Yeah.
Conveniently available.
And you just gotta. It's so nice and neatly organized. It's just that chef's kiss. It's what's the meme where there's it's amazing. We got some more grow outs over here. I feel like we don't need to spend too much time on these. We just got some older. We've jumped over to these super red. No, yeah,
Orange flash.
Orange flash,
Right.
and
These
the
are super
cockatoides.
reds, yeah. These are Apistogramma rosite or rosite.
Here they are, hiding in this corner.
Yeah. I spawned a bunch. They're very rare Apisto.
Shy fellows too.
Yeah, but I think I only got males. So for that reason, and then I lost the mom. So.
Oh, so is this another male over here?
Yeah. So.
That's a bummer.
I'm looking to get another female to get them going. That's just holding a bunch of plecos in there. And this is another recent addition, the Julidochromis Mark Smithy. They're kind of like the Ornatus, except that these have more yellow in them.
They're
I would
so
say
cool.
The Ornatus is like a black fish with yellow stripes. This is a yellow fish with black stripes.
You didn't want me to get you on film. Okay, paparazzi did not like you.
And I noticed lately they're actually building some caves underneath the rock. So you can see over there, they actually built that cave there.
They're hiding out in here.
I'm really hoping that I will get some spawns from them.
See these guys hanging out in here. They're beauties.
So eventually, once I get the other side of the fish room done, I actually hope to make this rack a Tanganyikan rack.
Okay, and just kind of isolate them all there.
So they're all Tanganyikan, and what you will notice is there's actually this red line coming in.
Yep.
That is actually the wastewater from the RO system. Why waste it? I can use it to do the water change on the Tanganyikan.
All the minerals. We talk about our water being like rocks up here in North Jersey. They'll love that.
Yeah. And as you'll see when we get there, because the water before it goes through the system is already dechlorinated through the carbon blocks, you don't have to worry about the chlorine going through the RO.
So it saves your membranes a little too.
Exactly.
That's really nice. And then you've got the plan to do 75s here, the 20s, a 10, and then 75s here again also.
Here again, yeah.
Alrighty, and then let's just give the people a little sneak peek, lead the way.
And actually, just so you know, so all of the manifolds over here are the plumbing that goes in. The pipe furthest away is actually the air.
Yep.
Then the next one after that, which is this over here, is just space to run additional tubing, whatever I need.
Okay.
But then after that, all the half-inch plumbing is actually the water coming in. And always, depending on whichever rack it is, once the rack ends, if that particular PVC is for the inline for that particular rack, I terminate it at the end of that rack. So you will see that this one here is terminated.
Yep.
Because that particular line fed this rack over here, and then the next one over becomes the line closest to the wall.
Okay, and then I see that's terminated right here.
That's terminated right
And
there.
that'll continue around and around
Exactly.
we go. And that all leads back
And then
to this
all is
masterpiece.
powered from here.
Oh, wow.
So this is my auto water change system. It is essentially the heart, I guess, or the central nervous system of the fish room. Heart, I would say, 'cause it's pumping in water, right?
And you guys are going to have to watch the next video. So we're going to start filming this now, but you're going to have to wait a little bit for me to edit this. So catch you soon. Thanks for joining us on the tour. Thank you for having us. We will see you in the next video.